Yeah. Hi guys. Good morning to everyone. I think let's get started so others will join. Yeah. In the last session, we started with understanding cloud application integration. Where I was trying to talk about like how to create a service connector from a scratch by using one of the options supported by app integration, which we call Swagger, right? So yeah, remember guys, before we get into the usage of Swagger, we all need to understand two important things. One is going to be JSON, other would be REST. So let me try to talk about what is JSON, what does it contain, and how do we make use of it. Yeah. So we need to understand that. Thereafter, we can start getting into what I call how to make use of this particular JSON in order to create a service connector from the scratch. Yeah. So let us try doing it. So let me share my desktop where I'm going to talk about elementary concepts that we are going to understand about JSON. Then we will go with what like how to make use of it to build a service connector from the scratch. Yeah, fine. So yeah, I hope all of you could able to see my desktop, right? So let us try to understand what is JSON. One, with respect to what you call syntax. Second, with respect to the importance of that particular what JSON. Yeah. So first we need to go with what syntax, example, and schema. Once you build that, then we will talk about how to make sure that the JSON is right or wrong. So we need to get it validated. Once you are done with that, then how to make use of this particular JSON with respect to some programming language, with a Python or Java. One, to create, second, to read. Yeah. So this is optional part, but this is very much required in case if you want to enhance the functionality to what IICS, or else this part is not required. No? So once we are done with that, then we can also write a code in order to pull different properties that we have within this each JSON file. Remember that. Yeah. So these things are optional for all of us, but they are required in order to extend the capabilities to app integration, because by default app integration knows like how to make use of the JSON, but it doesn't know like how to extend it. So that we could do it by going with our own custom template. Yeah. So let us start understanding. Yeah. JSON is basically stands for what? JavaScript object notation, which means this particular JSON is purely driven from JavaScript. Yeah. Or we can also say that it is an enhanced form of what? XML, which is extended markup language. Yeah. So now we all know that XML itself is an international accepted format which can be used across platforms like Windows, Macintosh, Unix, whatever, right? So same concept holds good even for JSON, which is a lightweight, what do you call, scripting language or scripting markup language. You know? So which can be used or which uses what international format through which we can interchange data across platforms. You know? That's the first thing. And next thing is what, despite this particular name, which is JSON, So we normally go with what? Name value pair, right? But it's not mandatory. If you want, we can follow it. If you don't, we can also skip that. So this kind of provision we have it with this JSON, but most of the cases we go with what? Specifying name value pairs. So where do you specify that? With respect to structure and value also, which means value also would be followed in accordance with that. Now, once we are done with that, so we need to make sure that it is validated. To validate it, the what is called JSON should have been parsed with respect to language, underlying any kind of language. Now, what has to be taken care in order to make this particular JSON gets validated? So these are all syntactical points that we all need to remember. But nowadays, anyway, so we got lots of tools to take care of these aspects. But let's try to understand what is it going to expect. Yeah. First thing is what there are some what we call basic concepts under Python. You know, so like for example, if you take in JSON, we use what? True, false, or not capitalized. You know, so and null instead of none. There is very simple syntactical part. And key value page is how we represent. Within curly braces, name in the right side, sorry, left side, corresponding value on the right side. In between, we use what? Colon. Yeah. Compared to XML, syntax wise, semantic wise, it is much easier. Anyway, we'll see with some examples. And double quotes, because you have multiple words, if you try to enclose them within double quotes, then subslip would not take place if you have this particular key value pairs with enclosed double quotes, right? So the file type is .json extension. Like for any program, any programming language, like corresponding what you call extension, right? For example, XML .xml, HTML .html, XSD .xsd, WSDL .wsdl, Python .py, Java .java, and so on. Similarly, for JSON, .json is going to be an extension. Yeah? And now the value could be either string or number. This is a generic thing, guys. And for Boolean, true, false. For none, null, we use it. And for user-defined types, object as array. Which means what? Broadly speaking, this particular JSON also follows what? Simple type system and derived type system. In simple type system, it would contain what? String, number, Boolean. And derived type system, it would contain what? Any object. Object could be array or a list or whatever. Remember, right? So basically, we'll be using what? Array, which can hold list of elements of same type. Right? And strings, we should always enclose it in double quotes. One, syntax was easy. Second, functionality wise, it will be you will not pick any functional issues because if you have multiple words that are enclosed in double quotes, right? We'll treat complete text as a single value. Or else, so if you have multiple separated words, then we might treat each word as what? Separate meaning. To avoid that, it is always advisable to enclose every string value in what? Double quotes. Let us see with an example so that we'll get better clarity on that. Can you see, guys? So if you say JSON, we need to start with what? Open curly brace and close curly brace. Within that only, we need to take care of writing key value pairs. For example, here we got in first level. In the sense, we can in XML, we all know that XML would be represented in the form of what? Tree. Tree would contain root node, child node, grandchild, and so on. Similarly, in JSON also, it follows the same form, which is a tree form or hierarchical form. So if you think that, can you see here in top level, we could able to see two properties, one with a name and second with an age. Yes or no? And on the right side, we all know that value, right? Name value pairs or key value pairs. Right side, we don't need to worry. Left side, we need to worry about it because keys are going to play very key role here, very role. For it, now, for example, let us say these are normal properties, right? If you look at this derived type or substructure, where we could able to see address within that, we can see what address elements in that, which means this is going to be that basic type or built-in types. This is going to be what derived type, or we can say structure. Yeah. So that's it. And children also is part of same level as name and age. So there are two levels over here. One which is address, second level, and other one is what top level, the tree. That's it. So now if you can compare this with what XML that we dealt with earlier. So syntax wise, it is much easier compared with what XML. Now, can you see, guys? This is a substructure, right? If you look at this children, where we can see array of elements. Can you see here? This is a simple element. One is what string, second is what numeric, third is what array, fourth is what structure. Remember, so which means in this particular example, we could able to see four types. One is what is a string type, second is what numeric type, third is what structure type, and fourth is what array type. So it covers what four broader types. Remember, but these are the four broader types which will be used in most of the cases for any JSON file. Remember that, guys. So that's it. Now let us talk about schema. Remember, guys, usually we use this particular schema to take care of what type of data that can be sent to this particular JSON. And this particular schema is going to be what strict type checking would take place. If it is a string, means value should be string. The type is integer, value to be type integer, or whatever. So strict type checking would be followed in JSON schema. Now, can you see some more examples here? First part, we have got what we call type object, properties, age. Yeah. And second part, address, which is substructure, which we saw, right? Within that, we could able to say sub properties and city is something else. And children, we can have an array correspond list of items, which means what? JSON schema could be expressed in broader sense based on what simple type system and derived type system. Remember, so in this also we could able to see derived one and normal one both. Yeah.
Narasimha, can you please explain that on the previous slide one more time?
Okay. This one.
Yes, please.
Okay. So in this case, we can see what there are three broader blocks, right? One, first one, second, second one. This is address, and third is going to be what children. Yeah, you can see what three things over here, right? So that part is clear, right? That's the first thing. Yeah. Now let us talk about the first block here. The type is an object. Yeah. So object is a generic term we use in JSON, which in turn contains what specific properties. Can you see here? Under properties, we got a name. Name is going to be one property where the type is what string. Schema. This is a schema. Yeah. So now age. What is the type we use here? Integer. Yeah. If you try to supply the schema in this particular form, we are trying to guarantee that JSON is going to be the strictly typed language or scripting language, yeah, or we can say markup language. Yeah. So that's it. Now on the right side, we can see what address. What type is this? Object. What does it contain? Properties like a street and city. And what is the type here? Street is a string and city is also a string. Got right? So address type is an object, like a structure. Structure is a collection of data members, right? So object is a collection of data members. And what are the members here? We call it as properties. Members, properties, fields, columns, they're all synonyms, guys. And what does it contain? Street and city. And corresponding type, we could able to see string here. Clear? Ali? And then similarly, we could able to see children. Children is what? Array. What is the type here? Array. What does it? Array contains list of elements of same type or list of items of same type. Example, items. What is the type that it uses here? String type. See, same thing like what we discussed here, right? This is what JSON, actual data. And what we are trying to see here is what? Schema, which is a structure. Like when we talked about web services transformation, hierarchy parser, hierarchy builder. In that, we talked about one WSDL, which is structure. So this is similar to that. XSD, that's also structure. This is similar to that. DTD, that's also what structure. This is similar to that. This is specific to what? JSON. They are specific to what? XML. Nothing beyond that. Clear, right? So this schema is specific to what? JSON. Like we talked about WSDL, XSD, DTD. Yeah, they're all specific to XML. Clear now? Clear, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So now let us talk to validate that anyway, by default, IICS will take care of it. But yes, if you want to do it explicitly, you can go to this here. I just copied and pasted here. Yeah. So that's it. Now, the next question. Next question is what? As we all know that anything and everything cannot be done by using what? IICS. We can only perform some of them, like whatever is required to integrate IICS with third-party applications. Now the question, there are bunch of applications that are coming in the market. So can we support all of them then and there itself within IICS? Answer is no. Now the question, how are we going to avail such kinds of newer capabilities that have been taken care by third-party applications? That's where we can go with what usage of JSON along with what? Python. So we need to write a code for it. Yeah. So if you know it, if you don't know, so also it's fine. So there is a way to write this code by using what? Multiple code generators. At this particular point in time, right? So we don't need to have programming knowledge, guys. Without knowing that also, we could get the job done. Yeah. So we got a bunch of tools right to take care of code generation part, like AI tools we have. Even without AI, also we got bunch of other tools to generate a code based on your input. Right? Okay. So now the first and foremost thing, if you want to extend, right, we need to import JSON module. So we need to install this by using pip or whatever. So that also you can search, you'll get it. Then example is what? Once you just import, right, you can just load JSON file name, and then once you load it, open that file and store it in intermediate variable, and then get the return value based on whatever it returns. Yeah. So that's it. Now if you try to what you call load this particular JSON file, you'll get an object, and that object will have multiple properties. We can get the properties from this particular person object. Yeah. So just like what? Loading a file, like yesterday I think we talked about like how to create a swagger, right? And how to save it. Once you save it, what is the form that it saved, guys? JSON file. Now the question, once you have a JSON, right, then we can load that JSON where at the time of creation of service connector within app integration, we follow these steps. Yeah. So, but we have got navigations to take care of it. But if you want to extend like what is not supported by IICS, then these are the steps that we need to follow to get the job done, right? So now, once you are done with that, we talked about one is array, second is structure, third is a normal type. Yes or no? In JSON, right? So now we need to start getting into what? Dealing with the data. See, this is a string, this is a numeric, this is a structure, and sorry, this is a structure address, and last is what? Children, which contains what? List of items. No? And then open that JSON file in a write mode because we can also write content to exiting JSON file. Have maintain a pointer. Through that pointer, we can write content to any object. Yeah. This is a coding stuff which we don't need to worry. As I said, we just have to understand like what do we expect. That expectation can be taken as input to this any generators, code generators. Rest they'll take care. That's it. How we'll see that. So that's it, guys. So likewise, it will go on. Yeah. So this much we don't need to understand. So this is not required. These like whatever steps that you can see here, right? They're all taken care by using this tool. But if you want to enhance, then only so we need to understand these steps. Yeah. Fine. Now let us try getting into the tool. Yeah. So now we are focusing on app integration, right? Yesterday we talked about like how to create a Swagger based on what? REST API, which is exposed from outside applications, right? Like we have seen JSONtypico.com, where we could able to see n number of posts. Out of them, we are trying to extract one of the post from IICS. That's our objective, right? Yeah. So now that we know like how to create a JSON, I think we have already downloaded if I remember correctly. Yes. Can you see here? This is going to be the JSON where, yeah. So where we could able to see what like what we have done by using what third party portal application, which is what JSON placeholder dot typico.com, right? If we just try to recap over here, this is a base URL. Then within that, we can request for n number of posts. Out of them, let's say we need to focus on let's say one of the posts. Let's say first post. Fine. So that's it. Now what we need to do? Can we get this particular what we call data within IICS? That is our goal. Answer is yes. So we talked about all the properties based on different types, right? Numeric and string, then structure, and also array. In this case, we could able to see numeric and also string. Fine. That's fine. Now, in order to get the data from this portal application from our IICS, what we need to do? We need to convert this particular API, which is REST API we call, to internal understandable format of what? IICS. To do that, what we did, we have just created what we created, guys, yesterday? Swagger. Because IICS understands Swagger. Swagger is what? REST API specification. Just remember that. Yeah. I think we have done that as part of Swagger files, right? Let me try to show it again. Yes. Can you see, guys? Swagger files. Yeah. So we have already generated one. So that's what we can see here, right? So that's it. So once we create this particular Swagger by using this interface, where we have just keyed in n number of inputs over here, like name of the Swagger, then runtime environment, then your base URL, and what type of verb that we use, get or put, you know, then authentication, and we separate all of them. As the end result of it, we got what? Swagger that got generated. After that, we have just downloaded this particular Swagger. That part we have done already. And we have seen like what it contains, right? Which means what are this particular JSON contains, right? This is a base URL and path, and first post that we are going to get it with a get verb. Yeah, we are trying to get the data from REST API, which is JSON type folder, whatever, right? But in that, we have seen multiple properties like user ID, title, and body. These are the four properties that we could able to see over here. Yes or no? That's it. Which means we translated the third party portal application to what? Internal understandable format of what is internal understandable format of what this particular IICS. Yeah. Now let us try to make use of this particular JSON file to create what? Service connector. Yeah. For that, we need to get into app integration. Yes. So we are trying to focus on this thing, right? Yes. So let us start with what? Creating a service connector based on what? Swagger, which is a REST API specification. We all know that. Yeah. So click on select. So service connector based on what? Swagger. Let's we are going to store this Swagger in what? Sorry, service connector in default project. Yeah. So now can you see guys? Swagger could be obtained one from URL, second from local file. For example, in this case, what we did, we have just saved this JSON file under local file system, right? Let us try to select that. Yeah. So we can go to what? Downloads folder where we can see JSON. Yeah. So that's it. And click on next. So can you see guys here? So from that JSON, we have seen base URL post, then followed by specific post. Remember that. Then click on next and start import. See guys, import got completed, which means whatever operations that we have underneath, we could get it from this service connector. Yeah. So that's it. This is the first step we need to do in order to import Swagger to create what service connector. Clear guys? Any questions over here? We know like how to create a JSON file based on third party portal URL, right? So we created that in administrator service. After that, you have just saved output of that particular portal or REST API in the form of what? JSON. That is done. Now that we are trying to create the service connector, yeah, based on what? JSON file. So that's what we are trying to do here, right? So that's it. Now we can supply the host name here, which is this one, right? Why? This is a parameterized. So we can change value to this parameter in case the URL is different from what we have default now. That's the first thing. Next, we can go to Actions tab where we can see what action name is a JSON, and then we can also use a binding. Bind means what? So this particular URL, right? So URL binding. For that, we are trying to get host name. From where you get that, guys? This is just a what you call parameter name, and value corresponds to that. You will get it from over here. This is a host name is what? Parameter name or property name, and the value will be this one. So that we are trying to use over here as part of binding. You know, because host name could differ, right? So that's why this is a parameter, this parameter. So we need to put this parameter name within curly braces, and dollar indicates what? Just a parameter name. Yeah, which means to get a value, dollar host name should be supplied. That's it. Then followed by first post. Clear, no? Verb is what? Get, because we got get, post, whatever, right? We are trying to get the data from URL, right? That's why we are using a verb, which is get. We have others. We'll see that later. So that's it. Yeah. Once it is done, now we got other parameters which are optional in this case. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. Now let's go to output. See here, in case of successful operation, then response code will be 200. That also we saw as part of JSON file, right? Somewhere. So successful operation response code is what? 200. Yeah. So that we have seen it. Now output fields JSON enter response. It will be stored in the form of what? Process object. Process object means just like a structure, guys, where it is going to hold a number of properties. Nothing beyond that. Yeah. Now, now we can just see whether we could able to get the data or not. Yeah. So you can just click on test. Yeah. Can you see, guys? So 200 which HTTP status code, which indicates what? Successful operation, that we can see over here. See, once it returns HTTP response code as 200, and then what does it mean? It's a successful operation. That's it. So green, right? Now in the bottom, we could able to see the response, like what is the return value from this particular URL. Yeah. Now let me try to copy this particular output value. So JSON is a field, right? So that's what we saw. Output field is what? JSON. And we can see the output of this particular portal, like what we saw here, right? It has been stored in one of the output field, which we call JSON. Now, let me try to copy this in the notepad where we can see the result. Yeah. Can you see, guys, here? So ID is what? 1. This is one form. So same thing, we could able to see ID is what? 1 second, right? And similarly, we can also compare other values like a title. So this is some other language which you don't need to worry. This is going to be a title. No, sorry, title is till this. Yeah. So till this, right? So this title should get sent out, whatever, right? So we have the same thing over here, title, right? Then followed by body. We should make sure that we get what we extract the right result from portal. See here, this is a body. And I copied notepad. We can see that body starts from here and ends over here till this, right? This is going to be a complete body. Then finally we have what? User ID. So user ID is 1, right? So that we can use, we can see as part of this particular user ID. Once we have seen it, right, we can use it for performing some other operations. That's it. That is one way to look at the response from app integration. Now, the next question, we can also see in a response payload in a systematic way. Now we can also copy this, where we can see it is clearly division and which can be understood quite easily. See, there's a root element open and closed, ID open and closed, title open and closed, body open and closed over here, and user ID open and closed. This is similar to what XML format. Yeah. So because this we have already discussed, so it's easy to understand this. Yeah. That's it. Which means this particular code, same thing. If you try to weave it in what page source here, so here also we could able to see same thing. Yes, sir. So that part we have seen it as part of text file in XML format. So we call it as what? Response payload. Yeah. Or simple HTTP response. Yeah. So now the question, what we requested, what we got it. Remember, guys, if you want to talk to any portal application, we have to have what? Request and response. Especially, we are dealing here a REST-based application. So, REST request and REST response. And what is the request? We have it here. So, look at here. Let me copy that. So, copy and paste so that you will understand better. Yeah, this is going to be the REST request. What we are trying to request for? Get. That's it. Get the data from that particular JSON. That JSON anyway, we have created it based on what third-party portal. Now, remember here, guys, we talked about what we call definition for JSON, right? So here also we can see this XSD will be created by active, which is business process enterprise language. We don't need to worry about it. It will be taken care by IICS. It does it by using or by taking the help from workflow engine. So that much is not required. So we just have to understand what we call what is the REST request and what is the corresponding response. And response, if you look at here, right, it is returning status code as 200, which means successful. Remember. So that's it, guys. So we can also what you call copy in the bottom also complete if you want to look at the complete data, right? Let me copy that and paste it here. So that's it. So here you can see what the complete data in the bottom, user ID, title, and body. Yeah. The rest is just a header, guys, in the top, like what we can see, right? So as part of this request, you can see get, and as part of response, so REST response, it contains two parts here. One is going to be header part, and second is going to be what I call data. So that we can see in the bottom. So that's it, guys. Like how we can get or how we can extract data from third-party portal application from application integration. That's it. Yeah. So any questions from anybody, guys, on this? Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. This is a simple way to understand like how to pull or extract data from third party REST based URL or REST based API or REST based application or REST based portal. All are synonyms, guys. So that's it about the first thing. Yeah. So like how to create a service connector. Yeah? So we can also see what you call process object. Process object just like a structure, guys. Structure would contain what? Data members. One is output field, JSON we saw, right? and others are what? Input fields. So can you see here? String, boolean, double, integer. That's it. These are the four fields we have it. We can also see what you call if you want to add some more fields here, we can do it. These are the existing fields that are generated from this particular portal because there are four properties, right? And corresponding fields we can see here, plus one output, which is JSON. That's it. Total put together, it will be five fields over here. That's it. Yeah. So that's it. That is the first thing we understood in app integration, like how to create a service connector from the scratch based on what? Swagger option. That's it. Now, if you want to make this particular service connector available for all the others, so we need to make sure that we publish it. Yeah. So make sure that this particular asset got published successfully. That's it, guys. That's also over. This is the first example we discussed. Now, the next question. There are other ways to create a service connector, which is what? We can also create service connector from the scratch. Yeah. So which means we can supply the input in the form of what? XML also, which would contain the parameter or set of parameters. For example, let us say there is a FedEx where we use FedEx for what? Item tracking. Yes or no? Now the question, in order to track any item, one, we can supply the tracking number and get the status of that particular item, like whether it is shipped or not. Yes or no? In transit or not delivered, whatever, right? So all such statuses and corresponding data also can be seen. If the item is shipped, to where it got shipped, all that, right? Now the question, in order to perform such kind of operation, we can use this particular, again, custom service connector where we can supply URL, all that to get the job done. Let us try to create a service connector from the scratch. Yeah. So we need to concentrate here, guys. Okay. Service connector based on, let us say, FedEx. I'll put FedEx. Yeah. So this is again same location. Yeah. Now we can supply here input, let us say, tracking number. Yeah. Or whatever number that you want, you can supply and type. Yeah. That's a starting point. Like last exam, what we did, host name, right? Here we are trying to supply tracking number. Yeah. So now action. So we can start adding a new action here. Supply action name like FedEx connector. Yeah. Fine. And category, I'll just put FedEx. That's it. Now in the bottom, we could able to see what we call preemptive auth description action type, which you can just use what? Default ones. Yeah. So that's it. Now the next question, input fields. Here also we can supply, let us say, tracking number. What is this? Yeah. Fine. So let's do the same thing. Label, description. Some number you can supply in. Yeah. If there is an item with this side, with this tracking number, you'll get the data, or else you won't get the data. That's it, nothing else. Yeah. Now, the next is what? URL. Remember, guys, this URL is a public, what you call, API, so that we can use it as an input over here. So that we can search here, let us say FedEx, right? So now we can take what you call binding URL. Can you see here? I just copied and pasted. You can get it from fedex.com, guys. Yeah. So let me copy and paste. Then we can use here post, because post means we are trying to post the tracking number and get the item details based on the tracking number. That's why we are using what? Post. And custom, in the custom XML file, we are going to supply what we call XML block. Can you see here? This is going to be the XML. Yeah. And remember, guys, if you want to talk to FedEx, no, so they have supplied or they have already given what I call XML based or SOAP binding, we call, where we can see credentials like a key, password, and client account number, meter number. These are all part of what we call authentication details or web authentication details. Key, password, account number, meter number. Four, guys. Not only these two. In case of FedEx, we need to use what we call these four inputs to authenticate FedEx. If you just log on to FedEx, no, you'll get these details. I've just copied and pasted here. Nothing beyond that, right? So then after that, we can supply tracking number. Can you see here? This is going to be the parameterized input here. Remember. So other things are template. So we have not done any change here. So here the change is what? One tracking number. Second is what? Authentication details. That's all, guys. The rest is a template. Now I'll just copy this. So till this complete thing is what I call soap binding, through which we are going to supply the inputs within this particular service connector. Yeah. So let's try to go down. Yeah. Can you see here binding type? We can supply here custom. So I think we've already seen notepad, right? So same thing we are trying to follow, like whatever steps that they recommend, guys. We are just following that. Binding type custom. Yeah. So custom, right? Now we can just copy and paste this particular soap binding. Yeah. So I just copied, guys. Here you can see what tracking number. Can you see here? This is going to be the input. Yeah. And how this particular value would get populated, guys, by supplying this input, right? We have already seen that. Yeah. Here we need to supply that. See, it is tricking out. I don't know why. These are the problems sometimes. Yeah. Some number here. Yeah. So then save it. It's invalid because we still have not completed. Yeah. So that's it, guys. So we supplied this custom binding part. After that, output fields we can just add. See, validation error we got, right? We can see the name field is required. Huh? Where is that? Oh, this one. I don't know why it is taking. Fine. So now let us save it. Let's save it. Yeah, now it's valid, right? That was the problem here. Yeah. So that's it. Now, based on the input, right? So we need item details, right? Like item number, cities, country, whatever, right? We can supply example from which city or to which city this item got delivered. Yeah. Yeah, let's use only one just to understand this. Yeah. Now it is validated, right? That's it. Like how to supply what we call action input, binding, output. So we can search this in the Google also, where we can see this FedEx URL. You know? So, or we can go to FedEx services. This is a beta service. FedEx service URL. You will get it. Yeah. So to access it, we need to use that particular URL, which is 443 port number, right? Yeah. So then we got it as part of FedEx page itself. You can download all of them. I've just downloaded. They have not kept it in public. No. Yes. So here in Developer Center, you need to go and download what you call this template, like what we have seen just now, right? Yes, we need to log in and then yes, I think I've done all of them. Because just make use of it. Yeah. Fine. So that's it, guys. Now let us try to test it. Yeah. So result is successful. HTTP response 200 means it is successful. Yes or no? But did we get any value for city? No, because we have just given some random tracking number, so we don't have any data for it. No. Now let us see the response. So let's copy this in a notepad. Yeah, let's say we have this response, right? So authentication wise, it is successful. One is fine, and data wise, it is not because there is no data corresponds to this. Can you see here? This tracking number cannot be found. Contact the sender, whatever, right? Because this is a number. See here, it got replaced with what? Our input. So dollar tracking number is what? Parameterized one, right? So that got replaced with what? Input, like what we gave the number over here. Now let us try to get the right number. So which I have it here, I guess. Let's see. Let us try to use this number and see whether we are going to get the result or not. Fine. So let us save this. Fine. And go to actions, test result, retest it. Yeah. So in this case also, it is what successful, guys. Yes or no? Yeah. Yeah. Now let us see whether we have got some data. Yeah. Some city has come, guys. Yes or no? Now we can see. Let me copy this complete payload stuff here. So yeah, copy and paste. Yeah. Can you see, guys? So we supplied some input. Authentication part is fine. And then same client, right? So then we can see here, guys, this is a tracking number. Yes or no? For that tracking number, we could able to see some data over here. So, like for example, we got some city, right? That city we can see as part of this. Like what city we got it here. So we can see here some city and copy and paste. Yeah. Can you see, guys? This is a city. So this we got it from this particular response. That's it. Same way, we can, I think we talked about in Swagger also, right? REST request, REST response. Here also we can say the same thing. REST request, right? We supplied some input, right? Yes or no? See, this is the input. Yeah. For that input, we got the response, which is city we extracted. Similarly, we can also extract what others. So authentication, all that we can see. This we are trying to send complete soap
Nrsimha, where
message.
we extract the city here in the script?
Yes, I think.
Yeah, we can see the just before you show the
Oh,
tracking
Sridhar,
number, right?
oh, sorry, sorry. Sridhar, just wait for a minute. It's for some other session. Yeah. So, yeah. Wait. So, yeah, yeah. See, this is a REST request and REST response, right? Yes or no? So, REST response is basically it's a 200, just successful operation, right? We all know that. Yeah. So, that's it. Yeah. So, that's it, guys. Like, which means for a given REST request where we supply tracking number as input, for that we could able to see the REST response, which is outcome of what? App integration. That's it. Yeah. So this way, we could able to create the service connector from the scratch based on what FedEx freely available web service. Yeah. So that's it, guys. So if you have any questions, you can shoot out.
Yeah, Nrsimha, can you show one time where you mentioned the city?
Okay. We don't mention, we got the response. Yeah. Let me show that.
Okay,
Yeah. We go to app integration, right? So in REST request, we supply only item tracking number. Ali?
right.
Yeah, if you look at these are credentials, and if you go to the
Yeah,
bottom, can you see here for this
yeah,
particular tracking number, we got what corresponding REST response that we could able to see by clicking on this REST response tab. In that, we could able to see all other details like United States or whatever. I think this we have already seen it. Let me just open and copy and paste. Yeah. So here, ME something, right? Yeah, this is a city. This is a
got you.
response. Clear, no? So we are trying to
Got,
extract only one city here. We can also extract address part one, address part two, all the attributes related to item. Ali. Yeah,
I got it. I got it.
perfect. So any other questions from anybody, guys? Yeah. If there are no questions, we'll stop here. We'll continue from it tomorrow. So, which means do we have any way to create service connectors? After that, what do we need to do with these service connectors in order to create application or new connection to build an application and use that connection in order to build the process flow within app integration and make it available to the public. So, which means publish that particular process flow to outsiders, which can be accessible from Postman or any other web, yeah, or from other applications like a Salesforce or Amazon, Google, whatever, right? We could do that. That we are going to talk on tomorrow's session, right? That's all for today, guys. Thanks to all and bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Nrsimha.